Ragat Guru Hari Prabhu Swamiji, I'm incredibly honoured and humbled to stand before you this evening. It is only appropriate, thank you, that I greet you in the first language of this country, and please bear with me as I do. Ka tūau hei māngai mō te tino whakaro o ngā tupuna kua heke atu ki te pō. Ta hariko ta ngākau I tēnei wā ki te tei I raro, I ta mana. O tō mana ki a mātou nei e ta rangatira tō unga. Me I mai, me I mai, me I mai. Me ki te whakaro o ngā tupuna kei te wahu koe me he maunga teitei ka tū kei mui a koe. Hei tama, I mua I ta maunga teitei. May I say, what an absolute pleasure it is to stand before you at this time. I will translate. My thoughts go back to the ancestors that first spoke in this place, on this land of ours. And one of the sayings that they used to say was, Kei tohu koe me he maunga teitei, if you should bow your head, let it be to a lofty mountain. I bow my head to a very lofty mountain today, your divine worship. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. But I also must greet you as a fellow traveller in faith. I am a devoted and a devout follower of the teachings of my divine Lord Jesus Christ. And it is with real humility that I get to stand before you, not only as a representative of the National Party, but also as a fellow traveller in faith before you all here today, the Yogi Divine Society of New Zealand. I thank you. It's only appropriate then that I make a small mention of some of the issues that you have spoken about earlier this evening, particularly around issues of law and order. And I want to say to you that it would be very easy for me to stand here and try and blame the other political party or whatever it is, but I don't believe that that is appropriate. I think what is far more appropriate to talk about today is the lack of spiritual guidelines that have been provided to our youth that are causing you and your families the trouble that you are facing. You have been a disproportionate victim of crime in this country, and it must change. But where it must change is in our homes. It is very easy for us to talk about, in the case of my Māori people, colonisation, and in the case of my Samoan side, because I have Māori Samoan children, to claim that it is something to do with racism in the country. I reject both. If I may say to you, your divine worship, I am the product of a Māori grandfather who spoke English as his second language, that came to this country from the Chatham Islands with my father in tow, that walked into this country during the Great Depression, who had no money when he arrived, who had lost his lands on the Chatham Islands, and if anybody could be claimed to be a victim of the past, it could have been my grandfather. He chose not to take that path because he was a man of faith and knew that with his attention to our divine Lord above, he would make good for himself and for his family. My grandfather, who was, I say, a second language speaker of English, had a laser-like focus on family values and on education as well, and he demanded that my father get an education, and he did. My father put the same expectation on me as his son that I would get an education. And as a result of that laser-like focus of my grandfather and my father, my family has done well, and we have no excuses to offer for anything that might go wrong in our life. But I want to emphasise that what has been the guideline for us as a family, the guiding tracks, has been our faith. And I want to turn my attention back to you, the followers of the divine, at this time, the Yogi Divine Society. This is not the first time I've stood in front of you to speak, and I made a plea to you the last time I was in front of you. Hold firm to your faith in this country because it is not easy to do so. You are going to come under great pressure as you take your children through life here to adopt all the ways of this country, and I urge you not to do that other than the laws of it. I urge you to retain your faith. I urge you to retain the things that are important to you and to make sure you pass those on to your children as well, because these are the guardrails that I am assured will ensure that your children live great lives in this country as New Zealanders and as followers of your faith, and I applaud you for that. There is nothing more that I wish to say to you this evening other than once again to thank you for the absolute honour, the humble honour that I have to stand before you today, to acknowledge you, your divine worship once more. As a fellow traveller in faith, it is very rare that I get to stand in a person of such holiness, and I thank you once again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.